The Other Side of Midnight with Frank Morano.
I don't know why they always assume these spies are male. There are some very good female spies out there, from what I'm told. One of them is sitting next to me. She's kind enough to pay a visit to our studio. I'm very pleased to welcome Aliia Roza, a woman who has had one of the most fascinating life stories of anyone I've ever met. Believe it or not, she was actually a Russian spy for Vladimir Putin's Russia, and she's become an incredibly successful entrepreneur and fashion blogger. Aliia, it is so great to have you in studio.
Thank you so much, Frank. Really, really appreciate it.
No, we appreciate you coming in. Now, for folks that have never been to Russia, for folks that have never been to the Soviet Union when it was the Soviet Union, describe your childhood for us. What was it like growing up as a little girl in the Soviet Union?
Oh my God, so many memories. You know, it was the difficult time, and first of all, we literally didn't even have food. We had to be in a queue, like lining in a queue for hours in order to get some food for our families. And it was a difficult time for everybody. We didn't literally had any clothes or anything, like no cars, no furniture. Everybody just lived the same way. And, grandfathers, grandmothers of mine, they were telling that this was the best time of them because It was, they didn't see anything better. So it's completely it's a communism. It's like they didn't have freedom. They couldn't travel. They didn't see anything else. So they couldn't compare their life. So they thought that life after the war and revolution is a good life. But then obviously it's not.
So you're about, I guess, 9 years old when the USSR falls and communism falls. Then, at some point, you end up joining the military. How did that happen? Was that your choice? Were you recruited? What happened?
My father he retired after he was a general of military army. And then his father and his grandfather, they all were in military. My grandfather is a national hero. This is the heritage of our family, and all my brothers and my cousins also were in military. So I had to be there, had to go there when I was 18. And my father sent me to first to a military academy where you study all the important things like, the skills, how to shoot from guns, how to do martial arts, all about laws, of course, so many things. And it was a great school in terms of my for my future life, but it was really, really hard. I remember I slept just for 3 hours a day.
Wow.
Yes, and they eventually sent me with my classmates, my students, to the war, and there were boys who were just 20, 19 years old who were killed. And
which war was that? What are we?
This was the Chechnya second campaign. Yeah, it was a really long war, and Russia and Chechnya lost so many soldiers, so many young boys and girls, and it's just like a big tragedy, and it's really sad for families to lose their kids at such early age. So I saw all that, and I'm so blessed, and I'm so lucky that I'm alive and I survived that.
So you learn martial arts, you learn how to be a soldier, you learn how to, I'm imagining, kill people with your bare hands, right?
Well, not bare hands.
Not bare hands, maybe with something else, right? Maybe with gloved hands.
With a gun.
That'll do it, yeah. And then you you went even further, and you were recruited to become an international spy. Tell me how that transition took place from being in the Russian military, seeing peers of yours killed, to being a spy traveling internationally.
Well, see, hopefully I'm not international spy, otherwise they will deport me back. I'm joking, of course. No, it was many, many years ago. The point is that when I was 18, I was really young, so I was a kid. I couldn't really understand, and I really believed in my country. My father believed in our country. He's a real patriot. He probably never understood really what's the the corruption there and bureaucracy, how difficult to be against the system. And when I understood and when I saw everything inside, I just ran away. And I never wanted to become systems machine, just like a doll in someone's hand. Like my boss, for example, sent me to some places where I was almost killed a few times, and they never really care about people. People are nothing for them. They just, they're kind of like a little, probably like ants in their hands, and wherever they wanted to achieve or do something, they'll do that. When I understood that, and there is like no human rights as well, I just...
Even for you?
Even for me. I was one of the best students. I was so, I was really sporty. I was really fast. I shoot from the gun really well. I was one of the best students. That's why they tried to make me, giving me high positions, send me to much more difficult tasks and everything. And when they offered me another position to be, as you said, a spy, international spy, I just quit. I ran away. I could do that last moment. I just didn't want to continue with that because I understood that I'll lose my life.
Well, I mean, I think you definitely made the right decision, but it couldn't have been an easy one for you because essentially that you're turning your back on the only country that you've ever called home at that point, right?
Right. I don't call this... I mean, I just feel sad for that people who live there, but I'm completely against the whole regime, Putin's regime over there. This is really sad what's happening, and hopefully I can help some new generation, maybe some girls who are in the same position, because, I didn't have that help. Nobody really cared about me that time.
Are there still a lot of young women like you were who are kind of being enforced into this world of being spies or femme fatales? It almost sounds like you were kind of a James Bond villain. Almost.
Well, yes, and if you're a woman in military, they just do everything. You're not really you don't have any rights. I was raped by my colleagues when I was 18. I was virgin, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go to the to complain. I mean, who am I supposed to complain? I was raped by my colleague, by police. How is that possible? And I know so many situations happening right now. I speak with some people, and I know this is happening. Women don't really have rights there, especially if they are forced to be in military.
We're talking with Aliia Roza. She has a fascinating story. I just linked to an article on it on my Facebook page. You could read it at facebook.com/Morano fan. That's facebook.com/Morano fan. When you made the decision to run away and to leave, where did you go?
Well, luckily, I could go to Switzerland. I went there when I literally in a year after all this situation, after I quit. I changed my names and surnames and everything. And just luckily for me, I ran away to Switzerland first. Kind of just hiding there, living another life, learning French language. And then I moved to Greece, Italy, France, eventually London. I spent there 6 years, and then now I'm here, and I love America. It's the greatest country. I'm so
Wonderful.
happy to be here.
And you're living in California now, right?
In Los Angeles, yes.
Now, you're doing very well. You've built this incredible business. By some estimates, it's been described as a multi-million-dollar business. Some estimates even much, much larger than that. You're now I guess it would be described as a fashion blogger. Is that a fair characterization? How do you describe what you're doing now?
Well, it is really fashion PR. What we do with my team, we do promote different brands. Well, it could be luxurious brands such as Cartier, Damiani, Rolls-Royce, Zohar Murad, Chanel. where also we work with emerging brands who are at that level where they need PR help. So we do collaborate, like we find for them like collaborations with big brands. We organize events. I work with a lot of charities. I'm ambassador of different charitable foundations. So when I do organize an event, I raise money to donate to charities to support underprivileged children and women as well. I have done more than 30 events in London, Paris, Marbella. So I feel really good about it.
No, that's wonderful. It's great that you've been able to build up this business. And when I met you the other day, I remarked how I was amazed at how you maintained such a positive mental outlook given everything that you've been through. You hear a lot of people that have a bad day and they're just down in the dumps for weeks. You don't ever pity yourself or feel sorry for yourself based on your circumstance. What's the key to having such a positive attitude?
It's very simple key, guys. Honestly, we are so blessed to live this moment right now. And I mean, I had this experience where I almost lost my life so many times. And living every day here is a blessing, really blessing. And everybody has sad stories and everybody has their drama in their lives. I mean, we are humans. This is normal. Everybody being betrayed or lied by someone. But you know, the most important is to live and to be happy, just to enjoy this moment where we are right now at this particular.
Now, I think that's wonderful, and when people are struggling to maintain a positive attitude, I think those are words worth remembering. How does a girl who grew up without enough food to eat, who then went to the military where she was risking her life in places like Chechnya, how does someone learn that much about fashion that you can now be one of the leading fashion PR impresarios in the whole world?
Well, thank you so much. Really, really nice to hear that. When I moved to London, actually, I studied at Istituto Morangone, which is one of the top universities in the world where Dolce & Gabbana studied. And I studied particular marketing, branding, social media. So all about fashion brands. And due to in Soviet Union, they didn't really have any fashion at all, any clothing. So women would wear same clothes, just different colors. I would sit down and just teach and, create some clothes for myself from old dresses of my granny or my mother. So that's how I was so passionate about fashion, and then it was always my dream. So when I moved eventually to London, I studied that. I did my master's degree, and then also, luckily, I met so many people in the industry, like really big designers like Donatella Versace and Miuccio Prada and Riccardo Tisci, and Victoria Beckham. So many designers. I just got so inspired and I just love it.
You mentioned how you're active in a number of charities and how you'd like to help young women that were similarly situated to where you were. How does anybody help someone that's forced into being a Russian spy or a Belarusian spy or any sort of a spy, forced into the service of their country, an authoritarian regime, being forced to do unseemly things that they don't want to be doing? How does somebody in America help someone in Russia, for instance, that might be in the same situation you were?
Well, eventually, I would love to found or set up, organize a platform for maybe social kind of media or something where women could connect with me. And in this case, maybe I can help in terms of migration rules lawyers or people who can really help and get them out from there. I know that America, as I said, the greatest country, really help with political asylum if, this is happening. And sometimes these women, they're just scared and they are frightened to connect with anybody because they're threatened by the government people, or they just they don't have any choice. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, and it sounds like, as was the case with you, you don't necessarily know who to turn to very often. There may not be options for people to turn to. So we've been talking with Aliia Roza. You want to learn more about her, you can go to her website, ALIIAROZA.com. She's also on Instagram. Just search Aliia Roza. A couple of different Instagram pages come up. They're all worth following. Now, I read an article, I got to ask you about this, yesterday in the New York Post in page 6, and it described an interaction you had this week with President Trump's first wife, Ivana, and it got to, you guys got pretty cozy, it would seem, based on this article. Tell me about your interaction with Ivana Trump this week.
Well, Frank, it was really a nice meeting. She's a lovely, sweet woman. I found it really funny, honestly, because we were all at the presentation of Dennis Bass's latest collection. And I just went with my friends to the bar to pick up some drinks. She was there standing, and then we started to talk a little bit.
And she was nice?
She was really nice. She kind of like touched my blues, I had like underwear, lace underwear. So she touched it. She said, "Oh, this is not sexual. This is for the research." So I started to laugh and it was in front of everybody. So, and then eventually we made a photo together, and I don't know what kind of research, but
yeah, well, that's a degree worth following, believe me. So she asked to touch your chest for research, not for anything sexual.
Oh yes, that's exactly what she said.
Hey,
well, it was kind of, for me, it was funny. So it's a funny story, though. Funny story.
It certainly is. That's a story not everybody can tell, but that's true of so many of the stories in your life. I want to thank you for coming in. I know the hour is tough and you have a busy schedule, but I'm glad we can take advantage of some of your West Coast hours. And I hope whenever you're in New York, you will always make our radio station a place that you stop by.
Thank you so much, everybody. God bless you, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Frank.
If you want to comment on any portion of our conversation, you're welcome to give me a call, 1-800-848-WABC. That's 1-800-848-WABC. In fact, why don't we take a call together, Aliia, before we say goodbye to you. Al is in Tenafly, New Jersey. Hello, Al.
Hey, Frank, how are you tonight? Your guest, Aliia Roza, is dynamite. My question is, how can we impress, Aliia, on our own spoiled American daughters and nieces like I have done to have the values you do?
That's a good question. Basically, how can we take people that haven't grown up wondering where their next meal is coming from and have them have the same kind of appreciation for life that you seem to? Any advice for parents out there or grandparents?
Well, I'm a parent myself. I have an 11-year-old boy, and honestly, I just sent him to a military boarding school.
Is that true?
Yes.
Really?
So when I'm working here at New York Fashion Week, he studies at the school, and I just said, you have to do it. So honestly, I'm a quite strict mother, and I think it's all about discipline. So, and maybe tell them maybe stories about other children, because I always tell my son, if you don't eat your food, there's so many children in Africa or wherever who don't have this food, and if you don't want to eat, so think about them. So it's all about comparison, I suppose. That's how I teach my son.
There you go. Boarding school it is. Thank you, Aliia. We'll do it again soon, I hope. Have a good trip back to California.